It's a movie that asks the hard questions. Where do we draw the line between public safety and civil rights? How much freedom are we willing to compromise in exchange for the increased militarization of police? But it's also a television series that asks the easy question. So what? Watch this helicopter do a flip. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Blue Thunder. Blue Thunder multiverse began as a movie in 1983, a cautionary tale about the dangers of the emerging surveillance state and the militarization of police. It ended as a television series in 1984 that takes place in a different universe where the audience cheers on the emerging surveillance state and the militarization of the police because it kicks ass. It is the year 1983, and right now, as the opening narrative text tells us, the hardware, weaponry, and surveillance systems depicted in this film are real and in use in the United States today. This isn't a documentary, but it ain't exactly science fiction either. Frank Murphy is a helicopter pilot for a city that is very much like Los Angeles, but not technically Los Angeles for liability reasons. He's been assigned a new partner, Richard Lymangood, who does all the surveillance while Murphy keeps his hands on the actual flight controls. Lucky for them, they've been grounded from flight duty for violating a woman's civil rights while the police commissioner was being murdered across town. So they're available to act as the test crew for a new experimental helicopter the US government is looking to sell to police departments as a terrorist deterrent. The government is proposing ground control from the air, but only in worst-case scenarios, like armed insurrection. Promise. Frank Murphy has heard that before. He still has nightmares about the horrors of his time doing exactly that as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. But this is no ordinary police helicopter the government has built. Nicknamed Blue Thunder, it's got 1-inch thick Nordock NATO armor, a forward-mounted 20mm electric cannon with 6 barrels capable of firing 4,000 rounds of ammunition per minute. It's stocked with 30 million candle power spotlights equipped with a heat-sensitive infrared filter, a TV camera with a 100:1 zoom lens, night vision, a targeting system, whisper mode, turbine boost. Microphones that can hear a mouse fart from 2,000 feet. It cost $5 million. It has a casualty-to-kill ratio of 1 civilian for every 10 terrorists. Tell me, where are you gonna get a better deal than that?
I'd buy that for $1.
But there's more to this flying death dispenser than the government is letting on. They're using the very suspicious murder of the police commissioner that they blamed on illegal aliens to justify the rollout of Blue Thunder to the Metro Police Force and then to every police force in the country. Frank Murphy is the perfect cop for the project because he's been suffering temporary blackouts. They can frame him as a rogue cop and pin all the bad stuff on him. Unless it turns out that he's a good cop and can turn the tables and expose all their nefarious deeds. Otherwise, this is the future of law enforcement. This is Blue Thunder. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below and use code TOYGALAXY for $5 off your order today. I'm Dan Larson. You might recognize me from shows like this show that you're watching right now. I don't live in this studio, but I do spend a lot of time here. Most of the time I'm either sitting at that desk over there, which you cannot see, researching and writing, or I'm in the break room looking for a snack. Magic Spoon's brand new treats help me get through the long hours of staring at my screens, trying to figure out how to make history interesting and funny. Something I wish they would have thought about when they were making it. History, that is, not Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon treats are available in marshmallow, chocolatey peanut butter, and 2 new flavors, double chocolate and blueberry muffin. They have 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs, so you can always get the fuel you need on the go. Magic Spoon is backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Magic Spoon also ships to Canada and the UK. You can also find it on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. So click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and use the code TOYGALAXY for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/TOYGALAXY to save $5 off your order today. And thanks again to Magic Spoon. After the success of the 1979 film, Alien screenwriter Dan O'Bannon started working on a project with longtime friend Don Jacoby. As they were in LA at the time, they drew inspiration from the Watts riots of 1965 and their own observations of disruptive police helicopter activity. This is a gross oversimplification. There are ample resources to get the whole story, but the Watts riots were the result of black citizens' anger at discrimination, from housing to employment, schooling, and most egregiously, policing. Over a period of 6 days, beginning August 11, 1965, the Watts neighborhood was occupied by 14,000 Army National Guard soldiers, resulting in 3,500 arrests, 34 deaths, and over $40 million in property damage. That kind of public disturbance is exactly what the government would prey upon and fabricate if necessary to usher in a comprehensive surveillance state and militarize the police force and be greeted like liberators. Mission accomplished. With that in mind, O'Bannon and Jacoby wrote a script that featured a Vietnam War veteran with unresolved psychological trauma as the pilot of an experimental helicopter who loses control and finds himself terrorizing downtown from the skies. He's ultimately killed in a dogfight with military fighter jets. While it did address the fear of police militarization and surveillance, it didn't give the audience a hero to root for, so most studios passed. But that was something production company Rastar and Columbia Pictures thought they could work with after a few adjustments. They bought the script and handed it off to Dean Reesner and John Badham for a rewrite. Frank Murphy retained his Vietnam trauma, but was turned into a rational skeptic. He knows that if a good cop like him is already using his regular helicopter to spy on women while they do yoga in the privacy of their own living room, this new technology will be abused for even worse. Because it has machine guns. On top of that, Murphy calls out the blatant misrepresentation of the facts to the media by his own department to justify the use of these extreme new policing tools. The role of psychotic Vietnam vet went to the new villain, Colonel F.E. Cochran, who has a record full of suspicious activity and is the main source of Murphy's lingering wartime trauma. And Cochran is the guy who's been piloting this thing up till now. This thing is a high-tech experimental ground support aircraft nicknamed Blue Thunder. Blue because it's a police helicopter. Thunder because it was developed through Project Thor, Tactical Helicopter Offensive Response. Proposed use of military copters to quell disorders. Thor, God of Thunder. In real life, Blue Thunder was a converted 1973 French SA-341G. Production purchased and modified 2 helicopters at a cost of $190,000 each, essentially the same back 2/3 with a new cockpit bolted on, chosen because it had a turbine engine and an enclosed rear rotor with a shark-like fin, which production thought made it look both exotic and menacing. In the film, Frank Murphy refers to them as being nose-heavy, and that's the truth. The additional weight caused by the uniquely designed canopy meant that it maxed out at 100 miles per hour, half what the unmodified vehicle was actually capable of. Flying scenes were accomplished through a combination of the 2 real full-size helicopters, multiple radio control models of various scales depending on their proximity to the camera, and the use of rear projection. In this case, a life-size replica of the cockpit was constructed on a rig in a studio with aerial footage projected behind and in front of the copter to create realistic lighting and reflections. The F-16s used in the finale of the film are clearly models. Real fighter aircraft weren't in the budget. The compositing is competent, but a dead giveaway in 2024. And, not for nothing, but any aviation nerd like me will happily bore you with the details of what they got wrong.
Bubba, being cops is going to be real different than the NFL.
Yeah, no more busting heads.
Move and you're dead man. At least it's a chance to show that we're really gentlemen. Spread up, turkey!
You and I are finally on the same team.
What are you doing? Yeah, the good life at last.
Roll with Bubba Smith and Dick Butkus in the premiere of Blue Thunder in 1 week at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
For liability reasons, the LAPD was insistent that the city in the film not be directly identified as Los Angeles. Instead, Frank Murphy works for the Air Support to Regular Operations, or ASTRO, division of the Metropolitan Police. Blue Thunder was shot in and above Los Angeles late in 1981, around the same time Knight Rider was in development over at NBC television. We'll come back to that. Blue Thunder starred Roy Scheider as Frank Murphy. Legend has it that he took the role to avoid being asked to appear in Jaws 3. His new partner, Richard Lymangood, was played by a very young Daniel Stern. Colonel F.E. Cochran is played by Malcolm McDowell, who overcame an intense fear of flying to make sure his scenes in the cockpit were convincing. Captain Jack Braddock is played by Warren Oates, to whom the film is dedicated, as it was his final performance before he died in April of 1982 while Blue Thunder was in post-production. Blue Thunder hit theaters Friday, May 13th, 1983, where it took the #1 spot opening weekend. It made $42 million in the US, which was nearly double its original production budget of $22 million. Desmond Ryan, writing for the Philadelphia Inquirer, said of Blue Thunder at the time, quote, "The movie's point is that technology makes it possible for government to encroach on civil liberties and increasingly dominate our lives. Blue Thunder then becomes a raucous celebration of technology. The movie tries to pass itself off as a warning, but it's really just an invitation to have some fun." Fun is one of the reasons it was adapted as a television series as a mid-season replacement in the spring of 1984. The other reason was Knight Rider. Because Knight Rider was halfway through its second season, on its way to pop culture icon status, and Blue Thunder was, essentially, flying Knight Rider. It even had turbine boost. The only thing it was missing was a sassy, artificially intelligent, self-aware computer. And the Hoff. TV Blue Thunder had to make some changes from movie Blue Thunder. For starters, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, Frank Murphy pulls a Back to the Future 3 on Blue Thunder by parking it on the train tracks so it can be demolished. Spoiler alert for Back to the Future 3 also, I guess. On top of that, none of the cast from the movie returned for the series, in some cases because their characters were dead, or they were. Instead of Roy Scheider as Frank Murphy, James Ferrantino as Frank Chaney. Instead of Daniel Stern as Richard Lyman-Good, Dana Carvey as Clinton Wonderlove. Instead of Warren Oates as Jack Braddock, Sandy McPeak as Ed Braddock. The TV series also adds a ground support team after realizing that they need someone on hand to make arrests if Blue Thunder actually corners a perp or exposes a goon. Enter real-life ex-football players Dick Butkus and Bubba Smith as ex-football players now cops Richard Bukowski and Lyman Kelsey. The TV series picks up in an alternate universe that cuts out all the difficult political stuff so it can focus on the action. It goes so far as to reshoot scenes from the movie to change the context of the scenes. Instead of Blue Thunder's debut presented as a harbinger of doom piloted by Malcolm McDowell's Colonel Cochran mowing down terrorists and innocent civilians in a mock city siege for a crowd of cheering military and police brass, Blue Thunder's debut is now presented as a hero piloted by James Ferrantino's Frank Chaney, very clearly only mowing down terrorists in a mock city siege for a crowd of cheering military and police brass. The TV series was able to use the same helicopters from the movie and even recycled shots directly from the film. It was a mid-season replacement that premiered January 6th, 1984, just 16 days before Airwolf. Yeah, technically Blue Thunder beat Airwolf to air and had the advantage of brand recognition from the movie not even a full year earlier, but Airwolf was Airwolf. 2 helicopters entered the Flying Knight Rider battle and only 1 left. Airwolf. Despite Blue Thunder creators Dan O'Bannon and Don Jacoby returning to write for 2 episodes, Blue Thunder was canceled after just 11 episodes. There wasn't enough audience for 2 helicopter shows, and Frank Chaney was no Stringfellow Hawk. Multi-Toys picked up the Blue Thunder license and released a 4-inch scale helicopter with Astro Division pilot action figure. The sculpt is indistinct enough to make the claim that it's based on Roy Scheider's Frank Murphy, but the packaging clearly shows James Ferrantino's Frank Chaney, as well as other characters from the TV series. Outside the US, Glassleet produced some Blue Thunder figures, vehicles, and accessories, various scales and quality levels, an indicator that the show was slightly better received outside the US, at least with kids. Glassleet also made some of the only Airwolf toys, indicating that the helicopter fight continued long after people turned off their televisions. Click the code in the description below to get your Airwolf shirt today from 80stees.com. In 1987, Blue Thunder was released for the Action Max game system. Sounds fake. The system used a light zapper and VHS tapes in conjunction with a user-provided VCR. You take on the role of Blue Thunder's pilot fighting back against terrorists attacking the World Peace Coalition. Since it was VHS-based, the game used actual footage from the movie. That same year, Sega released Thunder Blade for arcades, a third-person shoot-'em-up that allows players to control a helicopter kind of like Blue Thunder, inspired by the movie, but legally distinct from it. The poster for the game actually features the thunderous blue helicopter from the movie and TV series. A screen cap from the movie was included in the home system ports for the title screen, and the box art makes it clear that Blue Thunder was the direct inspiration. Both the movie and the TV series have been released on DVD. The movie can be purchased or rented on various streaming services. As of this video, all 11 episodes of the TV series can be streamed unofficially for free here on YouTube. Blue Thunder may have surrendered pop culture superiority to Airwolf, but it remains part of the pantheon of iconic vehicle-driven action shows of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, from Knight Rider to the Highwayman, Street Hawk, Automan, and Viper. It warned us about the dangerous future of law enforcement 3 years before RoboCop shot that dude in the dick, and tried to show us that even good cops are probably going to violate your civil rights in the name of justice if they think no one is looking with your tacit approval because you gave them the money to buy the tools. There have been talks about bringing Blue Thunder back, potentially to explore similar themes and maybe see how we're doing with that whole surveillance state and the militarization of the police. In 2015, Dana Brunetti and Michael DeLuca were in as producers, Craig Kyle as writer, this time with drone technology as the focus. In 2017, Columbia Pictures took on the project. As of this video, no further news to report. But maybe, just maybe, they're watching and listening right now to this video, the same way my phone is. Because the surveillance state Blue Thunder warned us about is here, and it's here to stay. But hey, maybe we get a new Blue Thunder movie or TV series out of it. Maybe I get put on a government list of people saying the wrong things online. Or maybe I just get Instagram ads for Blue Thunder all-purpose power washer detergent. Because Blue Thunder warned us that the surveillance state can be incredibly scary, but neglected to mention that sometimes it's just incredibly stupid. Thanks for Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. Several different tiers to address your specific Secret Galaxy content needs. Check out our new Secret Galaxy merch shop at secretgalaxy.shop. All merchandise is physically in stock and ready to ship. Links to all of this in the description below, and let us know in the comments down below if you're Team Blue Thunder or Team Airwolf. I guess I'm Team Airwolf because I do like the sleekness compared to the clunkiness of Blue Thunder, but it's funny to me that both of these franchises present these high-tech killer helicopters that are just modified versions of regular old boring commercial aircraft. Like, they didn't start from a military aircraft that was designed for the job. They went for the smooth, sleek lines of the helicopters used by the guy who does the drive home traffic report, but if he decided to become a superhero.
Cut.